So, fun fact about Wacko Jacko is that she cannot brush her teeth without wanting to die. It makes her super uncomfortable. She feels like she's gonna throw up.
It's
you have
weird.
A weird tongue cleaner too.
I have to clean I have like very weird oral hygiene standards. Like I must floss my teeth every morning and night. I always carry floss on me.
I feel like that's like a good thing though.
No, but it's because
it's like
I have
obsession.
I have problems. Like I don't like the feeling of toothpaste. Like you know when it's gritty and like
I really don't mind that.
Oh, like I like having a clean. Like I like the feeling after you're done brushing your teeth, but it's just the process, like the gritty toothpaste, and then like when the plaque.
Let's roll the intro.
Roll the intro. I'm done with talking about teeth. Oh, okay, I'm like physically uncomfortable just thinking about it. Like poor dental hygienists that like have to deal with that all the time. Like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't.
Wow. I'm sorry to all dentists everywhere.
Welcome back
to Poddy Talk,
the podcast where we should talk ourselves. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Torri.
I hated that intro. So this episode is brought to you by Roar Organic Canada.
This episode is brought to you by Roar Organic Canada. Roar
Human
Organic
echo.
is the next generation of premium electrolyte beverages for millennial hustlers like you. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder or looking to tear it down, hitting the gym or hitting the pavement, Roar Organic has the ingredients for success. It's got organic electrolytes for faster hydration, antioxidants to protect against free radicals, and B vitamins to help you be a go-getter.
I drink these all the time. I'm so obsessed with them. Sometimes I'll grab one after a workout to replenish my electrolytes or even just to go along with my lunch. Since they're so low in sugar with no preservatives or artificial flavors, it's the perfect alternative to water or any sugar-packed beverages.
Now, since we want our Poddy Talk listeners to try this beverage out, we're hosting a giveaway over on our Instagram.
Yes, we
One
are.
lucky winner will receive a case of Roar. To enter, go to Poddy Talk Podcast on Instagram and go to the most recent post or the post with the caption Episode 17 Giveaway, and all the details on how to enter for a chance to win Roar will be on the post. Good luck to all listeners.
Now, today we have a very serious episode because we are doctors. I'm not.
The doctors are in.
It's not Jack. It's not Tor. It's Dr. Jac, and Dr. Tor,
Webster.
Dr. Forbes.
PhD, a Webster.
Dr. Forbes and Dr. Webster here. I am a
Therapist?
No, I was going to say...
Advice columnist.
That still wasn't where I was going. I was going to say my great-grandfather is the owner of Forbes magazine, and he really encouraged me to be a doctor. And her great-grandfather is the founder of Webster Dictionary, so he also encouraged her to be a doctor. So...
Are you good? Like, that cannot make the episode. You sound like you're dead inside.
Anyways, we wanted to do an advice episode where we basically get you guys to send in your life problems, and we can all just relish in the idea that all of our lives have moments that are bad. And this might be more personally reflective than just to help you guys, but here we are. We're going to try to give advice. Don't know if it's going to be sound or not.
We're going to dive right in.
Let's go into your inbox first, and let's see what's spicy. What's going on?
Let's see. Okay. First question, how do you stay motivated to work out if you keep injuring yourself? Honestly, respect with my burn right now, and I am staying. Here's the thing about working out. I honestly do believe that your body and your mind feel so much better when you are doing it. So when I'm having my lazy days, I respect that sometimes I just have to take the day off. Like, I will not push myself. I will not, I'm not someone that's so intense I have to work out every day.
Yeah.
But I can feel myself if I start to get lazy or fall into a bit of a trap, then I'll just be active, even if it just starts with like a bit of yoga or starts with like a spin class or a walk. Like, that's the thing. Sometimes just getting your body moving will then inspire you to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a boxing class, or I'm going to...
Totally.
And classes, again, and friends, having a partner to hold you accountable, I think is the biggest thing about staying motivated.
No, fully. I think having friends is great. I also think, though, like what you were saying, there is something beautiful to kind of like listen to your body. And if we have like a really hard run and I'm so sore the next day, like there's no way I'm going to be doing another workout the next day. Like, I'm taking it chill. Like, you also need time to recover. That's part of getting stronger and working out and becoming more fit. It's like also taking those off days. It's very integral to it.
And like just being kind to your body.
Well, yeah, if you have injury, it's like your body is telling you it's got weak bones and it can't stop getting broken when it works out. So like maybe stop doing what you're doing. So
like when I got my burn, I honestly didn't work out for 5 days. The run was the 5K run we did the other day was the first I had done in a week. And I think that's okay. Like, you can't push yourself to a point where either you're going to scar or you're going to make an injury worse or like any of those
and there's
things.
other things that you can do that can be like promoting kind of a healthy lifestyle and like promoting self-love and taking care of yourself, which are not necessarily just working out.
Or
it
physical,
can be,
yeah.
it can
meditation.
or even
writing
just
in a
like
journal.
eating healthy, like making a really healthy meal that is like
Totally.
fruitful
Making
of like
you feel good.
colors and you feel great, or
agree.
like going to bed early and like taking a bath,
I
like little
agree.
moments that it's not working out, but for me, working out I think of very much so as like, whereas I didn't always. Now I think of it as something that I'm like doing to like help like nourish my body, and like I feel so
Right.
good and I love feeling good, and now it's hard to not feel at that level of good.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was younger, I would like work out to like, okay, I need to like burn calories.
Be
Let's
skinny,
go. Let's go run.
yeah.
Which is like such a negative way to think
I
about
agree.
it.
I never think about it like that anymore.
No.
I'm not like I'm doing this to be skinny.
It's
It's
like I have the
much more
privilege.
Like, I have to be
time to
strong.
totally.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset. I think when
It
you switch your
is.
mindset and you're doing it as like a
Also, when
reward.
you get older and you stop thinking about weight
Yeah.
like that, like you start to have a healthier relationship with
No,
your weight
exactly.
and your body.
I think of it like I'm rewarding my body to go for a run, and it's gonna feel so
Totally.
good. Versus like I'm punishing myself for eating that cookie, so I'm gonna go like sweat it out.
Exactly,
So it's like very much
exactly.
so a mindset thing. But I hope your injuries
Yeah.
feel better. I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
I'm so sorry about that. Next question: summer/sweat-proof makeup.
Oh.
I would say like Urban Decay Up All Nighter spray is what like really changed the game for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people think makeup that is not waterproof can't be waterproof, but you've seen it. I've like fully gone in pools with a full face of makeup on and it lasts. Really, it comes down to the application. I think sometimes it's not even necessarily the product. Sure, there's going to be waterproof powders and products and sprays that
Yeah.
of course help, but it really does come down to the application and the way that you're like pressing the product into the skin. If you want something to be longer lasting, I would recommend more like stippling motions versus like layering up. The more you kind of press and slowly build up in layers, that's going to help. But also setting with a good powder and
Yeah.
not necessarily baking, but when you do the powder set, say using a damp sponge or a denser brush and really pressing it into the skin and then dusting away excess, that's gonna really lock it in a bit more.
Yeah.
But doing a cream layer or a liquid layer, then reinforcing it with powder, that's gonna ensure
The most
longevity.
powerful. Yeah.
But yeah, of course, like use a waterproof mascara. I personally just prefer waterproof mascaras because
See, I
it holds the
don't.
curl better in my eyelashes.
True. That makes sense. That makes
So
sense.
I've always kind
You've
of
always
opted
said
for that.
Makes sense.
But and also like blotting. People don't really think about blotting in their product. Like even when I do a lipstick or a lip liner, I kind of press it off with a bit of tissue or like a Kleenex and blot it. And that just kind of makes sure that the pigment stays deeper in and then it removes the oil so it won't move. So doing things in layers and blotting and really like pressing
yeah,
products
that totally
in.
makes sense. Any advice on how to achieve success? You both have any advice on how to achieve the success you both have over the last few years? I love you both. Super nice.
That's really sweet. It's weird. I don't ever really think of like, I don't go back and think, oh, I'm successful from this point to this point, or like this is what made things. But I think I've always said that I think people's like true intentions always come out at one point, and like you can tell if someone has like a kind heart. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's just like really not a space for nasty people, and like if you're a bad person, there's
will
a
not be
million. Yeah,
successful.
exactly.
I
mean,
think
not
it-
necessarily,
I think
but
it comes down to like when you talk about
longevity.
actual traits or actual like strategic traits. If someone really wanted to know like why I think we become successful, I would say one would be work ethic. We're very professional. We
Oh,
show up.
yeah.
We do our job. We don't get in people's way in like what you were saying, like in a bad or you know abrasive way. Like we're very easy to work with. We're easygoing.
It's
And
easygoing, but
sometimes-
also standing your ground and knowing your worth and knowing your
Yeah.
value, not letting yourself be walked over, but also
But I think-
being easy to work with.
Yeah, and
so
being
it's a fine
easy
line.
to work with is sometimes why you get the job the second time. Because
fully.
you can be the most talented person in the room, but if you're a diva or you know always causing drama or demanding rates that are just not fair, then no one's gonna want to work with you.
Yeah, and it's a small city, and honestly, the power of word of mouth is insane. And it's
Yeah.
crazy how many jobs I've booked because someone's like, oh, so-and-so
we
really
recommended you. Yeah, me too.
So I think truly
And then the
human
next-
connection has the
Totally.
most impactful, and like people remember how you made them feel, and versus like necessarily the photo or the work or the actual job. Be like, oh,
Totally.
she was great to work with.
Totally.
And of course I want people to say, she did an amazing job, she was great on
Yeah.
camera, she did a great commercial or whatever. But it's like if someone's like, oh, she was a great person to work with, I really enjoyed her
totally
presence,
agree.
like that I think withstands time and is memorable.
100%. I think coupled with that is, I had a good one. What
I do
was
think
it?
you're like I admire you're very intelligent, like you're a great speaker and you know how to communicate clearly, whether it be
Clear
like
communication is definitely important.
and transparency I think is important. We're very upfront and honest, and I think people
Totally.
value that.
Well, it comes back to like a business morale. Like, how would you want
Yeah.
someone to treat you in business? And I think it always kind of goes back to that. Like if you're treating your partners and your clients the way that you would want to be treated, you're always going to be honest. You're always going to be transparent. You're always going to be upfront. You're not being shady behind the back. And we know so many people in this industry that have done shady
God,
things.
the stories I've heard, it shocks me actually how people.
The truth will always find its way.
Totally.
So like, don't be shady. Like it's just, rather own your shit. If you make a mistake, just own it and just move forward. And
I do think confidence is a big factor though. I would say, I think we're both very confident and we know what we want. Yeah. And I think that is integral.
Yeah.
What other like true, if I'm actually dissecting why, I think consistency.
Yeah, consistency.
I think that's something that's valuable.
Being passionate, like beyond
having the heart in it.
Yeah, like having your heart there and oh, this is what I was gonna say. Really, like this industry, like when you talk about marketing, public relations, even digital media, if you want to put it all in one little category, it sounds so bad, but it's all who you know. It's what is your network? Who are the people that you've made connections with? You know, like you were saying, how does someone feel when they walk away after spending time with you? Like, are you memorable? Like, those things are so important because when they're sitting in a brainstorming meeting coming up with, like, who's going to be our next person that we work with, it's always just, like, how do you stay top of mind and how do you remind people that you're easy to work with and that you're nice to work with? And then you want someone in that room to basically go, oh, Jaclyn and Torri, they're so great to work with.
And my thing is, too, like, as much as our jobs are a lot of fun, and especially with things like the podcast, like, we love to, I always say work hard, play hard, and it is a very fun world and fun industry, and there's so many great things when it comes to press trips, and there's a lot of things to have fun with, but there always is a layer of professionalism that I think is so important. And for me, I've always really tried to keep that like a top priority. And it's a lot of the things maybe that you guys don't see because it's more the back end stuff, but like I am always the first person, like, I kind of lost my train of thought there if I'm honest.
That's fine.
But no, I think professionalism is very important, and there's a lot of people that maybe don't have the back end skills required to uphold their business.
Well, the reality is, there is like a level of savviness that has to be involved to own a business. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can be, the most, communicative, like awesome person, but
or have the most social success with tons of followers, but then if you don't have the skill set to optimize
for example, like the art of negotiation, or not necessarily just the art of negotiation, but if you don't know how to, frame an email to negotiate a rate, for example.
I think being able to write a good email is very important. I will say that we are both good email writers.
Writing skills are very, very underrated when it comes to having your own, whether it's your own business or even getting hired. I know a lot of friends.
A strong pitch.
Yeah, or that won't get hired on a job because a lot of times employers will ask for like a sample piece of writing, and if they don't feel like you can communicate either their key messages or what they're trying to get across to their clients, why would they hire you?
Oh, of course.
And it's so true. Like, you have to be able to be concise. You have to be non-emotional. There's all these little things. Like, I know that's a skill of mine. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best writer by no means, but I am very concise. Like, and I think that's something you learn in university, because when you get there, it's a lot less about long form writing. It's not, hey, give me a 25-page essay that's like the most eloquent thing. It's much more, how do you take that information and make it your own, which is the toughest part. Regurgitate it in a creative way that's also concise. Like, you're not wasting people's time.
I feel like I talk about this all the time in my personal life, and I truly
hate long-winded emails. I literally, it's my...
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Well, this is, okay, so when I was in high school, my favorite teacher of all time was Mr. Baxter. I haven't talked to him in forever. I should reach out to him and say big thanks, but I think of him often as I'm writing emails, because he would always say that I would be too wordy or try to over-explain things.
Right.
And he goes, if you can say the same thing in less words, do it.
Totally.
Nobody has time.
No.
And but he would also always add the word that into my writing, so I always find I'm consciously adding that, which is weird. But those are his two things, and I would always, and I still take that away. I'm like, hey, let's say the same thing, but make it one sentence instead of 4.
Totally.
And I feel like that's really strong writing, because it's clearer communication, it's more effective, and it's not wasting people's time. Well, everyone is so busy.
My biggest thing is people overwrite, because that is, in my head, inherent lack of confidence.
Yeah, fluff.
Totally. Like, BS. Like, what are you actually trying to say? Like, I think there's a lot more value in someone being like, I want this deliverable for this amount of money. Let me know how you want to move forward. As opposed to, so we're working on this.
And it goes to transparency. You're not trying
Totally.
to like schmooze someone over. You're like, this is
totally.
like,
this is the ask, and this is the reward. This is the transaction that's happening. How do we say it in the most efficient way possible?
I think it also comes down to maybe on a subconscious level respecting people's time.
Totally.
It's I value you. I know you're busy. Let's have clear and effective communication.
And honestly, I'm someone that if you think you're at a place where you're writing, even in my opinion, a 2-paragraph email, you better just hop on a call and fucking own your shit and call someone and be like, yo, these are the deals.
Yeah.
Like, this is what's happening. And I think that's also become a bit of a thing in the millennial age, is that people don't do calls.
No one picks up phones anymore. People are afraid to pick up the phone.
And I get it, because we've talked about our telephobia, but I think as you realize how important it is, and also, I've challenged myself in recent times to own my shit on phone calls. Like, I try to be very diplomatic now, because I'm like, this is how I would be in person. Whether or not you sound a little more abrasive over the phone, because my thing is, like, they can't see your face or your expression, so you don't want to
there's so much nonverbal communication that helps.
Right. However, like, I think my dad was a good example of that. Like, I hear him on the phone all the time, and he's the most, like, just upfront. Like, there's no bullshit. Like, it's just like, this is what's happening. There's no insane voice connotations. No one's like performing. It's just, no, this is where it's at. I think that's important. Again, I guess it's all communication. Like, being a strong communicator is just really important.
So interesting, it's funny that you brought up school. You thought it was very integral to all of that.
Right.
And for me, I feel like it's been a lot of like real life work experience that
trial
I've
and error.
grown the most.
Totally.
And I look back, I see things that I was actually going through like email archives from like 4 years ago, and like reading my first kind of like pitch packages when I was introducing myself to certain brands and companies that I wanted to work with. And oh my God, the things you learn along the way, a lot of it is too. You can't expect to be running out of the gates at 100%. Like, I was a mess at first, and you learn
embarrassing emails, and it will not always be good. I feel like even sometimes still I'll find myself writing an email. I'm like, well, that was probably not the email I wanted to send. But I think that's fine. Like, just be aware of that and then move forward. But it's
growth.
True.
Growth is very important,
God, if I
and
went
being
back
open to
my
grow.
Initial pitches too, I'd be like, what the shit is this?
How did that actually work? How did that work? That's funny.
Totally.
Okay, I've got some questions here. It says, how do you deal with adult friends who bail? This is interesting, because we were talking a lot about adult friendships and how it's hard to make new friends as an adult. At least that's what I experienced.
Yeah.
Like, I have my core group, but it's hard to just randomly meet a new friend and like fully integrate them.
I actually hate that shit. I really don't like when people bail on me, because I feel like I'm a very like schedule-based person, and not saying I'm the busiest person in the world, but if I schedule time with someone, it kind of pisses me off if they're like,
if they flake.
Yeah, my thing is like the flake is different, is I guess similar to a bail, and in my opinion, very different than like an emergency bail.
Sure.
Like, if someone is like, hey, I have this family thing that came up, I really can't make it, or hey, this work thing has really got me down, I'm like stuck in the office. Like, I take no offense to that, and I'm like, yo, life gets in the way. But if it's just the like, we had this friend over the weekend who bailed on my other friend to go to a concert because she was hungover. And I'm like, that shit I have no tolerance for. It's like, you committed to this, you said you were going to the concert.
Yeah, that's not fair.
You text that you're hungover. Like, I have no, like, I believe someone like that needs like a talking to, like a stern kind of like, yo, I don't respect.
That's the thing, it's a respect thing.
I don't respect when you do that to me. Can you maybe just like be more aware next time that if you're going to commit to something, like follow through? And that's my thing. It's like very much goes back to like the integrity of a person. And like, I think my integrity is everything. And like, when I say I'm going to do something, whether that's a work thing or a personal thing, even if I end up hating my life and I don't want to go through with it, I always do. And I really hold myself to that. Like, even if I get involved in like a work thing and I'm like, shit, like, why did I do that? Like,
or say yes to that, or
why did I say yes to that? But
I
will never renege, and like, unless again, emergency situation.
I think the little caveat / like asterisk of that is like, if there are times when I know I'm emotionally like totally overworked, or like it's been a crazy day and I know like for my mental health I need to take a moment, like I think it's okay to recognize there are times, and those are like the once in a while, but that's not, I don't think that's fair if it's the norm. And I think if you have a friendship with someone and they're continually bailing or flaking on you, and you need to, I think communication is like one of the most important things with a lot of problems in life. You need to be honest and be like, yo, this is actually really disrespectful of my time when you keep last minute bailing. Like, it's saying that you don't value what I'm doing.
It's no offense to like like the person in this scenario, but in my opinion also, it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. Like, I'll just stop inviting you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you're just gonna keep doing that, like there's friends where that's happened with me, where I just find that they kind of have like you know, pieced out a little bit of the friendship and kind of like backed out, and I'm like, okay.
No, and totally.
Then I will also back out. Like,
I
I'm
don't
not
get
gonna-
offended by any of that. Like, if that's how you behave and that's just how you are, like, that's totally fine. If
Then
I'm
be
not
on your
okay
own.
with it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, I can't change other people's behavior to a certain
only
extent.
change my
I can
own.
only change
Yeah.
my own actions. So
Yeah.
if you're going to keep doing that to me and it keeps bothering me,
Then
I'm
I'm
just
just
going to
gonna
stop.
stop.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, like, no hard feelings.
And
like,
I think
I'm
that's
not,
also the line, is like making sure that you are being confident enough to walk away from friends
Totally.
that are literally treating you like shit.
Well, exactly. If people are not adding value to your life, if they're adding only stress and negativity, there's nothing wrong with being like, I need to take a step back. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's normal.
Right.
People, friendships, moments, they all come in waves. And if it's not happening right now, there's no point to like, I got to go make plans again next
Webster,
week just to
yeah.
get bailed on. Like,
Totally.
that's not a way to live, man.
Totally.
Yeah, no, it's hard, but sometimes, especially if you have like nostalgic like history, you're like, oh, but they're such a longtime
I
friend.
know.
It's
Cut it
okay to
out.
take a moment, not necessarily be mean or have a harsh conversation,
No,
but
just take a time.
yeah, take a moment.
Time. Yeah, fully.
This one says, this is a good question for you because you are
Yeah.
such a good stool person. Stool. You got good stool. You're a good school person. There's
Yeah.
a few questions here
Yeah.
that says tips for going back to school / how to manage stress in terms of school, any
Yeah.
help. A lot of
Okay.
questions about, because it is back to school season. I hate to say it.
Okay, like here's my biggest thing, and like I guess my piece of advice. So one, I would say like people put a lot of pressure on themselves in terms of like higher education. I think like when you're in university, if you're not doing well, you are hard on yourself. Like if you're not getting the same grades as your friends,
No, totally.
if you're underperforming in your classes, fine. I will say like wholeheartedly and honestly, like my first year of university, like low B's, C's, like very like whatever. But I will tell you, it was the most fun year of my life. Like I was partying, I was having fun, I was making all my new friends.
Yeah.
And I do think there's such a, again, back to what we always talk about, like what is the balance? Like what are the pros of this? What are the cons of
Yeah,
this?
you set up the
So
framework to the rest
fine.
of your adult life.
Exactly. I set up the framework in my first year. I made all of these amazing friendships. I met my boyfriend. I had all these kind of like personal growth things. And maybe, yeah, my classes were not at the forefront, but like, okay, hey, no one's looking at your first year marks anyways. So like, number one, have fun. Don't be so hard on yourself.
True.
Number two, I would say time management. Like prioritize your life. Be like, this day is dedicated to my friends. Tuesday is dedicated to, you know, writing that essay. And like,
Writing
start
out
things.
scheduling.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
start
that's-
things early. Like I know it sounds so cliche, and like I was even saying the other week, like sometimes you can't even take your own advice. You leave things for the last minute, but there is no way for you to stay on top of everything that's happening if you're writing things the night before. And no offense, like unless you're truly a genius, a paper that you write at midnight that's due at 9 a.m. is going to be shit. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
So like if you're not giving yourself that block of time, even if it's 4 days, I'm not saying I'm some crazy nerd and I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks, but at the same to the same token, like don't give yourself 24 hours.
This is also coming back to God bless Mr. Baxter. He used to always say, work smarter, not harder. If you can get the
Totally.
same results in doing it in half the time, do that option. You're
Do
not selling
that.
yourself short.
No,
You're
do-
being
do that.
efficient with your time.
Yeah, and be efficient, but also like take it.
Give effort, of course.
Yeah, and like
Of
take it
course
for
give
what
effort.
it is. Like it
But
really,
prioritize also what's the most important.
No, totally. Like,
Like-
if an essay that's like about a topic that actually inspires you and that might end up being a thesis later in your years, then yes, put in that effort and make sure that research is like very good.
Yeah.
But if you have a presentation the next day that maybe like presenting is, you know, already a skill of yours and you really don't give a shit, then fine, wing it. And it
Yeah.
maybe won't be your best one, but like you're not gonna fail it and you're also not gonna get an A+, but like there's somewhere in between, and that happened to me a lot. Like there would be things where I would put in the extra effort, and there was classes like finance where that was naturally harder for me than like, you know, like a marketing pitching class.
Yeah.
So I would, in finance, have to literally sit in the library for hours, and like sometimes it sounds so bad, but like put in the fucking hours. Like
Well,
put in the
that's-
time.
yeah.
Like no one wants to actually put in the work, and they just think it's gonna be this easy,
Oh,
like
fully.
laissez-faire. And like by the time I graduated, I literally, not to toot my own horn, had like above a 95 average, and I was doing so well in my classes. And I honestly think it comes down to finding the art of how to time manage, because that's all it is.
And I feel like everyone low-key loves to kind of like fool each other in the sense of like, oh my God, I didn't even study.
I kinda
and
hate
it's
that
like,
shit. I
no,
hate
like
that.
I did put an effort.
Yeah,
like
no,
I'm not
I
mad.
studied. Like
Or-
I stayed up late. I
Totally.
made sacrifices. Like I would have to say no to things so that I could finish
Yeah.
the essay. Or
I remember in high school, it must have been my final year, and I was like, I remember I was working, I think I had to get like a 96 average for this one school that I wanted to get into, to get the scholarship or something.
Yeah.
So there was this one class, I forget, was it functions? It was like a math class of some sorts. And for some reason, like this one specific
Section of the
chapter,
class, yeah.
I just couldn't understand the
Yeah.
concept or like
Yeah,
apply
and
the
back
formula.
Then, if you didn't get a chapter, you're kind of
I
screwed.
was
because
exactly
you'd
because
end
it all
up on the
builds off
exam,
exactly.
yeah.
So I remember literally after school every single day I would go to homework help, which
Yeah.
not that it was like frowned upon, but it was like, it definitely wasn't
Lame.
cool to go to
Lame.
homework help after
Yeah.
school. And also like, then you're cutting into like hanging out with friends after school. But literally every day for this final semester, I would go to homework help.
Totally.
And a teacher would be there. And like teachers, they want to see you thrive. As much as people
Totally.
love to like, oh my God, this teacher is so bad, they hate me. They really do want you to find success and to like
Totally.
understand what's going on. I'm sure it'd be a weird outlier if they don't. But and my teacher would be there and they would help me, and she was like so good, and I ended up getting the grade that I wanted to. And also, I don't think there's anything wrong, and this might just be the teacher's pet and me coming out, but I'm sure you will agree with it. There's nothing wrong with getting to know your teacher and getting and being
Not at
communicative and being
all.
like, yo, these are my goals, and I need.
I
And
think
like them having an
I
understanding and a
agree.
personality to your name, I think is so valuable.
It also plays into the, like, at least in university, like, if you're not making the effort to introduce yourself to your professors, they
You're just
will not
another
know who the
number.
fuck you are.
Totally.
Yeah, like, no offense. But then also not beyond that, it's like, I think it's really annoying when people think it's cool to not be educated.
Oh my
like,
God.
You know, that sort of like, I'm so Valley Girl dumb and I don't care about my grades and I don't care
think,
about.
is that really a thing anymore? I feel like I,
I
don't
feel like
even,
it kind of is though.
Really?
There's still that like underlying like
Yeah.
it's not cool to be a nerd, and I don't care.
I'm like such a nerd.
Same, and I don't care, and I think it's cool to know things and know how to speak properly and know how to write properly and all of these, you know, like random key things that will get you through life. I think it's cool to be
Yeah.
a nerd. And I remember, like, similarly to like your story with your teacher, like my finance class that I was saying was obviously not the best. I had gotten to the midterm and I did very, very poorly on the midterm. I passed it, but like barely. And my prof brought me aside and he's like, Torri, like you like are in a position now where you actually could fail the course, because most people that fail the midterm or like get close to failing the midterm will not pass the final exam, because
Yeah.
like you're saying, it's like you're building on topics. So
Yeah,
if you already have
no
gone
hope.
halfway through and you basically are saying, I knew like 52% of
Yeah,
the
you're gonna know
topics.
25% when it comes to final exam day.
So I like picked up my socks that semester. I like studied so hard, and by the time I did the final, I ended up getting like a 90 on the final exam, and he wrote me this email being like, Torri, I've never had a student turn this around so intensely, like, you know, like what a great turnaround. And I think
Were you most improved?
I was most improved. Yeah, he goes, you were most improved in the entire class. I mean, going from like a 52 to a 90 is like a huge jump. And
Totally.
like, but it basically meant I had spent hours and hours and hours being
committed.
like, I will understand these concepts. I will go in. I will pass this exam. I will not retake finance. Like, I have also never failed a course in my entire life. So that was like my ego kicking in, being like, I will get a 90 on this exam because I cannot possibly let my ego go down to a place where I feel like I am not capable of doing something.
Yeah.
But anyways, so like, yeah. So I hope I feel like I answered the question.
No,
Time
I
management,
agree.
Balance. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Exactly.
Enjoy the process.
What else do we have? This is interesting. How to start your own vlog or start your own social media career? That's always an interesting question, because I don't have a good answer, because I didn't
Me
start
neither.
with it with
Me
a
neither.
career in
Me
mind.
neither.
I was on a gap year after I graduated high school a year early, so I was 16. I was like, I'm not going to university. I'm taking
Yeah.
a break. And I always had wanted to start a YouTube channel because I watched so many YouTubers. So I bought a camera. Actually, no. My grad gift from graduating high school, my parents bought me a laptop and a camera, which was very generous of them. And I literally just started making YouTube videos for fun. Then when I started going to makeup school, I started kind of documenting what I was learning, because we were learning so much special effects and gore, and I was like, I'm learning so much, I need to make a video to remember how to do it. And then it kind of slowly started snowballing. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lie and be like, I wasn't aware at the time what YouTube could snowball into. I just didn't necessarily think that was my truth. I thought it was just gonna be a placeholder in my gap year. And then while I ended up working, I went to makeup school, I ended up working as a makeup artist, and then during that time, as I was working on set, I ended up getting like contacted by these people, the lovely studio that we're in, and then I was like, oh, this is an actual thing. And then that's about a year and a bit after I started my YouTube channel. That's when I was like, oh, this could be a job.
Totally.
Let's try it. And every year I'm like, oh, let's do this for another year.
Yeah.
But you never know with this type of stuff.
No, you don't know. I mean, again, similarly to you, mine was like such a fluke accident. I only had an audience because of what had come from my television experience. And yeah, like I remember first year university was the time, like I started making money on social media in first year university. So wait, what is that now? 4 or 5? This is my sixth
2014,
year.
yeah.
Sixth year of like being able to like monetize my content
Yeah.
and like make it a job.
And it's what we go back to the whole conversation about having business skills. It's a mixture of having the skill set, timing, luck, all
There's
of that.
these things that play into it.
I do think, though, especially in an industry like this that we always say can eat your soul if you're not the right type of
Totally.
personality. If you're going into it with like, I want success, I want these numbers, I want this reach, I want like it's going to be very limiting, and I don't think you're going to have the longevity to survive it. So
nowadays, in my opinion, the people that have really taken off are the people that actually have just phenomenal content. Like people that have,
but because the passion is
exactly
there. The passion, the skill set, all of that.
They love taking the videos, they love sharing, they're authentic, they're organic.
Well, they're true creatives. True creatives.
Yeah, and like I do, again, you have to have a bit of a balance, you have to know how to manage it on the back end, but like those are the people, and at least in my opinion, that are able to do it now, because it's so saturated, it does make it a little challenging.
I guess so. If we're talking about like practical advice, anything that's takeaways, I think if you're getting more in the beauty industry, I think tagging the brands and making great content, that way they can repost it and broaden the eyeballs that are on your content would be helpful. And also though, understanding that you're going to have to do free work, it's reaching out to this company saying, hey, this is the value I can provide, this is the exchange that we can do. There doesn't need to be money, but I have a value exchange, and offering work for free at first, is crappy as it sounds, but that's the reality for a lot of self-made businesses.
Well, it goes back to like, we're talking about how now as influencers and as like these media outlets, we're being treated more like a magazine in more current times. Like it's more about them buying ad space on our feeds. Like that's how we make money.
Totally.
But on the foundation of that, it's like a magazine is not an ad on every page. You have so much editorial work that goes into it, and this is like what a lot of my like PR contacts have been saying to me recently. It's like there has to be such a balance between your editorial work, which is like, you know, like your own makeup inspiration and your own like, you know, day-to-day life, and then paired with the advertorial content, because it is hard now, and consumers are smart, and they don't want to see an ad every day. And I know it's hard for us too, because we're trying to break it up, but sometimes you have busy months where you have a lot of
timelines change,
and sometimes, and that's shitty, because you know deep down you want to be sharing all your editorial work as well. But it honestly is very challenging, and I mean that's first world problems. Like, oh, I have too many ads. Obviously, well, it's up to you to like choose and delegate what that looks like. But I think what I'm trying to say is that do not discredit how important that editorial work is.
I also think being intelligent about it. I mean, I feel like I hear so many stories where they're like, yeah, so I tried to do like this whole YouTube thing, or I tried to do this like Instagram thing, and then I wasn't making money after a month, and then eventually I had to pay my rent, so then I had to just completely stop it. And like, in that, I feel like you still have to be smart about your decisions, and I'm not saying have a backup plan, but in my position, I was 16 when I started my YouTube channel. I was living at home. I didn't have to worry about those expenses, so I had opportunity and time to experiment and fail and not make money for about 2 years.
Yeah.
So that was very important. But I mean, if you are, you know, obviously living on your own, paying your own bills, starting this off, you need to be working another job. You need to have a part-time. You need to, like, I think it's ignorant and not setting yourself up for success if you go into it being like, you know what, I'm going to quit everything, I'm going to put 100% into this, which I think is great, put full effort, but don't be dumb about your decisions, and understand that you still have financial means to meet.
Yeah, I've heard both things like from creative perspectives, because I remember when I was studying at NYU, one of the advice that like a Broadway star had come in to do like a talk, and someone asked, you know, like, what's your plan B? And then he goes, well,
This is my plan A.
He goes, well, I've never had a plan B, because I would have never made my plan A work if I had had a plan B.
I've heard that too, and that's annoying a little bit to me.
And it is a little bit annoying, because it's setting a precedent by saying, like, if that plan A doesn't work out, there's no other direction to go. And I don't think that's fair. I think life is fluid, and you're going to run into things, and you should always have some other skills in your back pocket. And
I disagree in the sense that it's not a plan B, but it's also having a support system to make sure you survive.
But
survival. Your plan A, which is not necessarily like a plan that you're not going to complete, but yeah, that's still the goal, and you'll find a way to get there. But of course, there's other things.
There's going to be hiccups.
You need to support. Like,
Totally.
I think it's not relatable to be like, well, this is my only plan, I'm going to make it happen. Sure, but what are you doing? You still have to be doing other sacrifices to make that plan A happen.
Totally.
And I agree, though. Like, sure, if that's your goal, like, make it happen. I agree with that. But
there's a fine line.
Of course, there's a way. Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
So, what were your main concerns buying your condos?
Oh,
Interesting.
you start off. I felt very naive because I had never. It was a whole new world for me.
Yeah, I mean, the reality was, I guess my biggest concern was financial, which makes the most sense. It's the biggest investment I had made thus far in my life in terms of like putting cash on the line. To that same point, though, I felt very ready for it, and I didn't jump the gun. Like, it's not like I felt, you know, forced into it, or that I was making a decision before I was ready. It definitely felt like the right time. So I think because of that, I was able to like wrap my head around, you know, it all. If anything, I felt like immense gratitude, and I was like very proud. Like, and I still sometimes like I'll walk around my condo and I feel like, very, it feels like a reflection of 5 years of hard work, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a physical thing to be like,
yeah, so
I put in time, and this
that
is what
way,
I have
like
to
I
show.
do feel like I have a very deep emotional connection to my condo, because it does feel like a lot of hours that I know I worked to get to that point. So when people are like, "Oh, you're so lucky you have your own condo," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, no, I'm definitely lucky.
Like, I'm
for
grateful.
Sure, super grateful, but also it didn't come without merit, in my opinion." But yeah, I guess the biggest thing was just like, it was the biggest investment I had ever made. It was definitely a process. Like, you have to get your mortgage. Like, there's all these like strange hoops that people don't really talk about.
Oh yeah, I had no idea what the process was like. And God bless my parents
my parents were just like literally rock stars.
No,
so.
they really helped me through it. I'm not going to be like, I did it all on my own. Like, no, they're like, hey, this is the next step. You need to get this lawyer, and you need this person to come like
it's
do the
such a
status.
process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anything though, like physically that you were like, oh, I need my house to have these color cupboards, or like, did you go into it like knowing like your non-negotiables about your house? Because I know I had some about mine.
Yeah, you were kind of better, I guess, upfront about it. Mine was much more interesting, because the process of what happened was not what I would have thought of what happened.
In what way?
Well, because I by no means thought when I was going to buy a condo that I was going to be renovating my entire condo.
Oh, true.
Which is what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Like, I bought a space, and what I thought was going to happen was I was going to find this perfect space, and it was going to be amazing, and I was just going to move in, and it was going to be done.
Yeah.
And I ended up finding my space, and I fell in love with what it offered, but it wasn't what I wanted. Like, it was like dark floors, and it had not been touched in 10 years, and like the foundation and the basics of it was perfect and so big, but like it wasn't exactly what I wanted in terms of aesthetics, and I wanted it to be nice and glamorous and all of these things. So, but in retrospect, it was the best case scenario, because it basically meant that I got to start from scratch and like find all the things that I loved and bring it together in one place, which is also probably why I have a deeper emotion connection to it, because I feel like I built it. Like, it's very much like
and every decision was yours.
Me.
I picked the backsplash.
Totally.
I picked the handles.
Totally.
Yeah, for me, when I was looking, obviously, of course, financial was my biggest concern. I had never obviously made a purchase like that. And I was just like, is this how much I should be spending? Is this the right investment? Like, I was thinking long term as well. Like, if I ever go to sell this, is this going to be like something of value? Like, I wanted to make sure, obviously, that it was a smart financial decision. But in terms of like actual, like physical attributes of the place, I knew area was really important to me. I wanted to make sure it was an area that I loved to be in and like felt really safe in. And then for me, I knew that I loved.
Because it was both our first time living alone.
Yeah, totally. And then for me, I knew I needed a lot of windows. I'm someone like, I get very claustrophobic in small spaces, and like especially since I work from home a lot of the times and I don't necessarily have an excuse to get out of the house, I can wake up, spend my whole day working in the house, and then some days, like, I might not even go out, I'll just like have a night in.
Yeah.
So for me, it was really important that I had daylight. Like, I'm very affected by light, so I knew that I needed a lot of windows.
My windows are like my favorite part of
Totally,
my condo.
same. And then for me, another thing that was important was having a little bit of outdoor space. Like, I wanted a balcony because I love like being outside, so that just makes it feel like a bit more breathable.
Yeah.
So those are that was my checklist. But I mean, obviously I was like going into it like, I'll take a look at whatever, because I didn't know how picky I could be.
Yeah.
But then
I think it's good to be picky.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to have
an
a
extent,
yeah,
but also
exactly.
understand that things
It's not
are
gonna be
changeable.
perfect. Totally.
And things are changeable.
Totally.
You can always make it your own.
Yeah.
So my romantic life has always been rocky. I always seem to find the wrong guy. What should I do?
I have no advice to offer.
Well, here's my thing. I think that people put a lot of pressure on being in a romantic relationship. Like, they think that, that can have a huge impact on their day-to-day happiness.
Oh, totally.
And I think it's okay to be single for a while. Like, it doesn't really make a huge difference. I also think people find you at the time when you're least looking. Like, that's always been my experience, at least. And like, enjoying your life and being happy on your own, and then finding someone halfway is the best case scenario.
Yeah, I find
and
I
also not
always
staying in a relationship just because they are the wrong guy, like,
or because it's comfortable. Like,
yeah.
I get so frustrated. I feel like I'm a sounding board for a lot of my friends and their relationships, or their like struggles in their relationships, and what I feel like I can recognize in a lot of people is like, okay, you love the idea of being in a relationship, but you don't love them. Like, there's a difference
or you
of
don't
wanting
love yourself.
True.
Yeah.
I think there's a way to have like security and like that by having another person with you versus like really just that being the right person for you. So that I always find annoying, but I guess it is a privilege that myself or you, like, I feel confident to be on my own. I don't need to rely on that.
Yeah.
But I know some people do, and that's like really challenging. And I guess I would say like maybe work on yourself. But I don't know if some people can't work on themselves by themselves. They need someone else to help bring it out of them, which I'm not saying is good or bad.
No,
but
totally. Do you feel pressure as you get older to be in a relationship, or do you not even think about it?
Oh no, I've never felt like, oh, I should be single, I should be dating someone. I mean, I feel
you just let it go as it is.
Oh yeah, it's not something I don't ever think about it. Do you feel pressure of timeline? Like, oh, I need to be married. I need to be like in a solid relationship.
I'm very aware of it, but it might be different because I've been in a relationship for so long that like you really start to build a life with someone. So I think that maybe is what like starts to trigger the thoughts of like what's the next chapter, like what's next. But I could see that if I had been single for the last 4 years, that I would definitely feel differently, and I'd be like, what's the rush? Like I'm just having, like I'm just living my life.
You know what's always weird? I've always said this. Obviously I've never felt pressure to be single or to be in a relationship or vice versa, but it's always external factors that make me conscious of it. It'll be people asking questions like, oh my God, are you seeing anyone? Are you still like,
well, for you, it's always a question because people are like, you're so gorgeous and cool. Like, why don't you have a boyfriend?
Oh my
God,
because you're just not on a date right now. Yeah, totally.
And like, I feel like there is that.
But it's something I never.
It's the outward pressure. Yeah, it's not your own.
You always
internal.
hear people, well, even like with your sister, like not wanting to get married because she doesn't want to get the question of, oh, when are you having kids with them? And so it's so funny. I feel like a lot of people are affected by the way that other people behave with relationships or not.
It's much more about the outside behavior as opposed to your own. Like you're clearly at peace. It doesn't really affect you.
Well,
whether
that's the
you're
thing. I would hate to subscribe to that idea because other people are telling me to. You know,
which is like super.
But
I agree.
So wait, what was did we answer the question? I don't think we're good at giving advice.
I always seem to find the wrong guy. What should I do? Don't date the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Wait for the right guy.
You know if someone's
just
a good person or not.
Like be patient.
Don't rush in just because you want.
Just love yourself.
Also, I would say have a good group of friends and females around you.
Totally.
I think having a good group of friends is important, and you'll feel less reliant to put that pressure on one romantic partner.
Totally true. If I want to become an actor, what should I do?
Actor.
And where should I go first to try and be an actor?
Don't pay money. If you hear those commercials that say, do you want to be on Disney Channel? Do you want to be on Nickelodeon? Well, we have an open casting call. It's illegal to advertise auditions, so don't go to that and don't pay money for that.
I will say, do pay for a headshot. Do pay for an acting class.
Oh, like, those are good investments.
You know what I mean? Because so nowadays, I mean, it would be tough either way, but I think nowadays, if you're getting into the industry and you need an agent, you're not going to get an agent until you have a reel. And a reel is basically like clips of different scenes that you've done, whether professional or not. It could be like from an acting class, or like in my case, it's like different shows I've done. It's like a reel of like different things that I've been a part of, but it'll clip in and out of like, this is a comedy scene, this is an emotional scene, this is like whatever.
Shows your range and what you can do, what you're
It shows
capable
your range
of.
as an actor, and a lot of the time, having a reel through an acting class is the only way people can get a reel, and then that's what you can use to audition for different agents and like kind of source out how to become or how to have representation. Because ultimately, if you want to be an actor, you need to have a great headshot, you need to have a reel that you'll probably end up getting through an acting class, and then you really need an agent. So once you have the agent is the person that's going to get you those auditions. That's the key. That's how you get into the casting room. That's how you get those calls.
And I feel like the question often that I used to hear a lot is like, how do I know if an agent is legit? Like, who do I know? How do I know where to go to? I mean, like, it is a unionized industry. In Canada, there's ACTRA. In the States, there's SAG. If you go to those websites, they will literally have lists of, like, ACTRA-approved agents. So you can, like, reference that list and make sure they're legit.
And also, like, IMDb is an amazing source. If you have actors in your community or even in Toronto that you just look up to, like, I think you can even see who my agents are on IMDb. Like, you can,
same.
If you have Pro, you can kind of, IMDb Pro, you can source out and see, like, oh, I love this actor. She did all this work. Who's her agent? And you can kind of do your research like that.
Or even, like, do things like, and just be in the loop of the industry in the sense that if you're watching, say, a lot of Toronto productions, see who the casting directors are, see where they are, like, get an understanding, and it's all of a snowball. Like, once you discover one thing, it leads you to another, and but no, I think, obviously, classes, I mean, I feel like I had the luxury, I started acting when I was 6. I literally went into this audition with an agent, and she made me say the line, Mr. Christie, you have good cookies. So me, with a speech impediment, goes, Mr. Christie, you have good cookies. And they're like,
my God.
Okay, you're kind of cute enough, you can speak a little bit and take direction, we'll sign you on. And then luckily it snowballed from there. So I feel like I kind of got the easy way out, in a sense, but not in a sense that I feel like I put in my time.
I got the easy way in for sure. There's no doubt about that.
How'd you get hooked up with your agent?
I was doing a theater performance, and like, don't take this advice because it's rare and it will not happen. So I will just say that now. But basically, I was doing a theater performance, and my agent, so the theater that I was a part of, there was a lot of kids that were on Degrassi. It just happened to be that way. I don't know what it was. Drake like, whatever.
Did Drake go to your school?
Nina Dobrev is what I meant to say.
I was like, wait,
Nina
Drake?
Dobrev, but there was a ton. Like, literally, like, I could name 20 kids that ended up on Degrassi that I went to high school with. Anyway, so I was in this theater production, but at the time it was like the summer version because I was not in high school yet. I was obviously in like, I was like the summer before high school, I guess. And I did this performance, and it was actually, what's that song? I was walking down the street. Anyways, whatever. I was doing this theater thing. Why am I blanking on what it's called?
What song?
Time Warp. But like, what music is that? Anyways, whatever.
Wrong person.
So I'm performing. This man comes up to me after my performance. I'm like, you know, that you finish a show and you go down to see your parents and everyone's like hanging out.
Get your flowers.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, hi. Like, I just wanted to introduce myself. Thought you were like so amazing. I'd love for you to come in and audition for me.
You were scouted.
Yeah,
you were scouted.
I was actually scouted.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'd love to represent you in film and television. So at the time, my parents are like freaked out because they're like, who's this guy like talking to our
that
12,
is creepy, right?
12 or 13-year-old daughter, like being like, yo, I
like you,
represent
you're a good,
you.
yeah.
So anyways, my parents, God bless their souls, like did research. My dad was like, honestly, this guy's insanely reputable. If you want to go and audition for him, like, let's do it. So I did. I went in, I had my audition, and I mean, again, like agents will always be agents. Like he kind of acted like, oh, I don't really need you. And I was super young, and my dad honestly didn't really love the idea of me being in the industry anyway. So he's like, oh, okay, we're good to go. And he like picks me up to leave the room.
Oh, really?
And then my agent goes, oh, well, no, like obviously playing hardball, like trying to like negotiate. And my dad's like, do you want her or not? And he's like, yeah. So anyways, he's still my agent to this day.
That's
but
too
it
funny.
did snowball very quickly. Like right away, I had booked some like movies of the week on Hallmark, and I like The Town Christmas Parade. I'm sure people have seen that. And then actually the first thing I ever did was a Rice Krispie commercial, but I was singing in it, so it was great because I was making more money.
Oh, really?
You make more money if you're like doing a special
Oh
talent.
no, was it the Rice Krispie karaoke series?
Yeah.
Shut up. I remember seeing these on YTV.
Oh, original. It was like so awkward, and I'm like holding a fucking Rice Krispie and
my
dancing.
God.
Oh my God, you can find it on
what are
YouTube.
cringeworthy commercials
it's
or like
so-
hilarious ones to reference?
I mean, that one is funny. People should watch that on YouTube.
There's this really funny commercial that, oh God, what was it for? I had to sing in it as well. It was Hess trucks, which I think were like kind of like a monster truck.
That's so funny.
And I'm like playing like air guitar in this commercial. I must be like 8, like whipping my hair around. Like commercials are just the funniest. And it's so funny to have that visual archive online.
Totally.
That's funny.
But then, yeah, I was in grade 9 when I booked Life with Boys. So honestly, it happened fast for me. Like, you're not going to be the lead of a series within a year. That just happened to happen to me. But like, I mean, you might. You could honestly, some actors,
you hear stories of people that aren't even
they're
actors,
not
and
even actors,
and they're like, we'll train them. They have the
casted.
look. They have the right.
It's true. It could just be the right
never
fit.
know.
But then you could also be an actor that, again, like now we've gone kind of backwards in our careers. We were like more successful as kids, and now we're like less.
Totally.
But I mean, hey, we're making it work.
We peaked at 12.
It's
that's
fine.
that's the moral of the story. Feeling like you've lost yourself. That's interesting.
I feel like that's relatable. Like, I think everyone goes through moments where you feel either more like yourself or less like yourself. I definitely go through that. Like moments where I'm like, where I'm like, I'm so feeling it. Like I'm like really like in my zone, professionally, personally, like all of the things. I do believe someone is knocking on our door.
Hello.
We are rolling.
That's interesting.
Please don't come in.
Yeah, we have this book for another half an hour.
And
Interesting.
so, yeah, I mean, I get it.
I think if you feel like you've lost yourself, it's actually interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend who isn't from here, and they kind of felt like they needed a moment to recenter and really like find themselves again or get back to their core, what makes them happy. Like they just felt a bit lost in their path and direction in life. And they were self-aware enough to realize that meant they need to spend time with their family, go back to the hometown where they grew up in, and kind of get rid of all those
people you love. Yeah, take the noise out of it.
Totally, and really like truly think like what makes you happy. Like if I think of that for myself, it's like if I'm having a rough time and like okay, I need to like literally mute this noise of being in a busy city or having this busy life or whatever. It's like that's disconnecting for me. I need to like truly be off my phone, go back into like nature. And not that you need to be like this like tree hugging hippie, but for me, I love spending time outside around my cousins.
Like
they bring out the best in me.
Find something that like makes you happy.
Totally.
Like even if it's just something simple, if you've had a really bad day, like I'll be conscious to like have a meal that makes me happy, or like go and see a movie that would make me happy. Like do an activity or see a friend that you know will lighten your mood. Like
I always know I'm like in a really good headspace or doing something that's amazing when you kind of lose track of time in the day and you're not even thinking of that. You don't think to check your phone. Like you're so engaged and so present in the moment. And those are the times in life where I feel like I'm like living the most. And like this is what it's supposed to be.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, it's so true.
So find that. I guess. Do it.
Well, that was
That's bad advice.
Hope the doctors were good this episode. Thank you for tuning into Poddy Talk, the podcast
where we shit talk ourselves. I'm Dr. Forbes.
And I'm Dr. Webster. And I feel like we could do a little rose and thorn if we want.
Yeah, sure. Thorn is that, I'm having a good day. I don't even know.
That's fine.
A thorn is that, you know what, my nail polish is like all peeling off. And it's like, I want to pick it off.
Done, though.
I know. So I want to peel it off. I'm like, just wait. Just wait to get them done. A rose is, it's actually like so interesting, like hearing from you guys and hearing your like life problems or like what's going on. Like it makes me feel like,
we're not alone.
yeah, well, one, we're not alone. We deal with all the same things, but also it's just like nice to like learn more about you, and especially when I see usernames that like of people that I know are commenting or engaging with my stuff all the time. When I like learn more about their life, I'm like, oh my god, like so and so is dealing with this. Like it's interesting and it's valuable to have you guys interact with our stuff. So that's cool.
A rose.
I'm not done yet. Okay. So another rose is. We're gonna have actually a really nice night. We're gonna go like watch a movie tonight and be out in the town, which will be cool.
Very excited.
And then something I'm looking forward to is that we're going to New York next week.
I was just gonna say that.
Actually, when they're listening to this, we'll be in New York.
Yeah. No, the following week.
No, this one will be when we're in New York.
Oh,
won't it be?
Next week is you're wrong.
We'll be back from New York.
Whatever.
Okay,
we're going to New York. That's also my rosebud. My thorn, I guess, would be that. You know, it's starting to already feel like fall. Like, I'm not mad about it, but at the same time, like summer did really just pass me by. It was an amazing summer, but it definitely passed me by. So that's the thorn, I guess. The rose would be, I think we're going to have some sick matching outfits for the next episode that you guys see.
Oh,
which is great.
And I feel like we've been teasing the idea of guests, but we will have guests on the next
episode,
which is exciting.
There's going to be guests on the next episode. So
and also tweet us who you want to have on the podcast.
Yeah, we won't reveal who it is, but we've lined up the guests. It's going to be great. We've got matching outfits that are going to be better than the doctor suits, and I'm very excited. So see you next week.
Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Bye.